It's a complementary. It's not something to avoid. It's something to understand and sort of not even manage. So the notion of I'm managing it, you're pushing that out. I'm embracing it, and I'm learning the point that the purpose of it. Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh show.
Today's topic: anxiety. How to deal with it as a leader. Anxiety is hard enough. It's even more challenging when you're the leader. You're out front, and you've got a team behind you, beside you. All of those things. We've covered some self-care things in the past, and this is a topic that came up as we were wrapping up a previous episode. So today Bob and I are going to dig into anxiety, managing it, dealing with it, knowing it's there, all of those things. So that's that. Bob was fired up about this episode, so I'm going to pass it off to
or even using another phrase, I'm pretty juicy about it, Josh.
No.
You've teed it up, my friend. I want to start with this way. I was going to reserve it for later, but maybe we could kick it in.
Okay.
When I was doing ORSC coach training, and this is the internal working, like being self-aware as a coach, they talked about inner selves. And part of the deal with an inner self is getting to know it. So if you have fear, you could be afraid of fear. You could let fear control you, and a variety of other reactions. Or you could pretend that it's almost like this thing of putting it out in front of you, where you could, sort of embody fear, put it out there, and then talk to it and say, "Hi, fear. What purpose are you?" Right? You're not good or bad. You're serving a purpose for me. And you could have a dialogue with it. And it's not like you like it or appreciate it, but you understand it. You understand its role. And that stuck with me since those classes. I try to do it in my caregiving. I go through a lot of emotional stuff with my caregiving. And I try to, it's a weird juxtaposition where you're trying to sort of talk to your inner selves and dissect yourself a little bit, right? And pull it out. And I'm wondering if that same thing could be effective with anxiety, with leaders, of make it a friend. That may sound odd, but become friendly with anxiety. Understand its purpose. Understand why it's there for you. Because Josh, your anxiety is totally different from, the word is the same, but anxiety in Josh Anderson is unique to Josh Anderson, and anxiety to Bob Galen is unique. So getting to know your version of it and why it's there, and then sort of making use of it. It's a complementary. It's not something to avoid. It's something to understand and sort of not even manage. So the notion of I'm managing it, you're pushing that out. I'm embracing it, and I'm learning the point that the purpose of it. I know this is a little woo woo.
I don't think so. I would say that's a journey that I've been on over the past, I don't know, say 5 to 8 years, where growing up and throughout a decent portion of my career, anxiety was clearly labeled as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so I would I would suppress it. I would keep it at arm's length. It was something that there was nothing good about it. And while it might not be enjoyable, it might not be a thing that puts a smile on your face of like, this is the best day of my life. It can serve a purpose. And so understanding it and understanding what that driver is for, and then being able to look back at my life and realize how anxiety throughout my life has caused problems, and it has caused me to change the way with which I'm addressing things. And oftentimes that anxiety, as I drove to, hide it or get rid of it or push it away, it forced me to readjust how I was doing things, and the outcome of that was that I ended up in a better place because
Yep.
I was, and I know you said you didn't want to put the managing word on it, but I was trying to manage it. I guess I was trying to manage the situation which anxiety was creating, and in doing so, the outcome was actually good. But if I hadn't been anxious about that thing, I might not have effectively reacted to the situation that was going on within my life that was creating that. So that is one of the things, and this is a very Bob thing for me to say. I wrote an article about becoming the imposter, and that it's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, it's actually a good thing for you to be uncomfortable and pushing the envelope, and recognize that anxiety isn't the world is ending. It's like, ooh, I'm doing something new and I'm a little nervous, and like that's okay. And recognizing this is a good thing. This is a moment that I want to make sure I pay attention to because it's important, and my body, my mind, everything's telling me like, hey, make sure you're paying attention here. Make sure you're really focused. So that has been a journey for me, going from it's bad, get rid of it, or pretend it's not there, or act like it's not there, to
Right.
okay, it's there. And I don't manage it as effectively as Bob, where I have a discussion with it, but maybe that's a thing I should figure out. But I have learned that it's not always something to run away from.
Right. I don't know if I have a discussion. And I'm not reacting to the word. I think it's what Orsk was trying to say is every emotion we have, every part of us is there for a reason. It has a purpose. And actually the purpose is us. So anxiety is there maybe to protect me, right? And if I understand, what is it trying to protect me from? And then if I dig deep into that, I know this sounds therapeutic, Metacasters, but if I dig deep into that, I start understanding anxiety more. And the point that it has for me, fear for me, flight or fight, has a purpose for human beings. And if we dig into it a little more. One of the things you were doing, Josh, I think, as I heard you towards the end, is you were normalizing it. That's the word I'll use, is I think that's an effective sort of way to look at it, Metacasters, is fear, normalize fear. It's not unique to you. Oh, I'm afraid and no one else is afraid. No, fear is normal. Anxiety is normal. And normalize it. It's a norm. And if you normalize something, then it's not this big, hairy thing. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable, but it's not like the boogeyman. It's normal, and everyone has it, right? Normalization is this process of everyone has anxiety. So view it that way. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I would say I was afraid of being afraid. And so like the instant fear would pop up, I would run away. I'd be like, okay, cool. Or, that's telling me to not go that direction. But there were times where I needed to understand that. I need to understand, like, it's not like fear, like there's a dinosaur behind you that's going to bite your head off. It's like, oh, fear because this is something new. This is a big moment. This is the thing that you really care about. Lean into it, embrace it, use that. Right. And so the things that, as I've learned and studied, is that fear is something that keeps us alive. Fear is something that's powerful, and how the body reacts in moments like that. Your body often doesn't shut down. Your body's like, oh, okay, it's go time. I'm going to be ready.
Right.
And so a lot of that fear and anxiety isn't necessarily you tightening up, but you like getting ready to do something more, something different than usual, which is a good thing. And so lean into it and embrace that and use that in those moments where you're nervous or you're anxious or anything like that. So there's those moments, but something that I'd like to talk about is just like the general anxiety of leadership, of all of those things that you're trying to manage as a leader. And one of the real challenges as a leader, and one of the things that I've had to really get better at, is that going from a contributor to a leader, is that as someone, say, writing the code, I can write the code. I can go fix the problem. But as a leader, that's out of your hands. If you're leading and you're not managing and you're not doing it the wrong way, if you're doing it the right way, it's like being a coach on the sidelines. You can't go out and pick up the ball and run it. You are counting on the team that you hired and coached and groomed and prepped, and you are counting on them to go do that. And that can create anxiety on new leaders and existing leaders because it's out of your hands. And so, but most of your career, everything's been in your hands, so you've been able to solve the problems. And so that's one of the things that is just kind of, to me, has been a natural part of leadership for me that I've had to get better at. And it's, we've talked about it a couple different times, but that's the thing I want to make sure that people walk away from this discussion with.
I wanted to talk. We talked about managing it, and it's not that managing it to me. It's sort of like I'm managing a Gantt chart. I'm managing a project.
Right.
Right. It's not. I think of anxiety as being not manageable in that way. It's not something that's that discrete. That said, the essence of it, maybe change the definition. It's right. I think of embracing it as another term. Like you embrace anxiety. It goes back to normalization, and you embrace it. You become friends with it, etc. Do you understand why it's there? I think that's a part of it. The thought that came to my mind was trigger. I'm still working. Josh, in the Metacast, very often you're like, Bob is more advanced than me. Bob is more advanced than me. You sort of allude to that, and it's mostly an age thing. So I take offense at it, but the point is, I'm not that. I'm still a work in progress too. We all are. And so conflict is something I struggle with. Anxiety over conflict. Like if you disagree with me, like if you get in my face, Josh, if I don't know you, I can very often get triggered. And so inside, but I want to like attack back. So attack me, attack you. And then the anxiety, and so sort of that triggering, that self-awareness, not being like that can create a lot of, I think of anxiety it's very common in leaders, and we're in this position where folks are disagreeing with us. There's conflict down, there's conflict sideways, there's conflict up to our leaders, and being able to manage that conflict and not become an ass yourself, maybe is the way to talk about it. Not getting pulled into it. I'm still a work in progress in that. Like sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'll snap.
I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
I will snap, and I'm working in Medicare. I'm working like a dog on this because I don't appreciate this aspect of myself. But it's anxiety is part of that introduction. And so being that self-awareness, working on that self-awareness, working on understanding your triggers. And then one of the ways to work on it tactically is pause. Just pause and breathe. If you could take a 5 count, a lot of stuff, and I don't do it very, like I'm in attack mode. Like I take a 0.5 count and then I'm going for it. And I'm lost. But if one of the things I'm trying to do is just pause and breathe. And then calm myself down. Is it really worth it? And sort of go through a checklist. Any reactions, Josh?
Yeah. I mean that is one of the most challenging situations to be in because everything is turned up to 11 in those moments, and to be able to thoughtfully, calmly respond when everything's under fire is a massive, massive challenge. And to me, that is something that I think it's, you have more laps around the sun. So we're all working on stuff. And so you get more shots at it and you get better at things. And part of what I've learned is that there's real value in just getting reps. And so not avoiding the situations when those come up. And that was a thing that I know early in my career that I did. and that I didn't handle them well. This is not a comfortable example, but the first time I had to fire someone, I was a disaster. It was a mess. I look back and I feel horrible because I mismanaged the situation. Here is how I handled the situation. Okay. Sitting down with the person, we were in a room, head of HR is next to me. I've got the letter that effectively, it's the letter that you hand somebody after you fire them that basically is a summary of the discussion. I was just a mess. I slid the paper across the table in front of this person, just sat there. I was like, there. And I didn't know what to say. And the head of HR kicked me, and she was like, you got to say something, you know?
Did she kick you?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Cause I was just a disaster. And so that was one of those things like, oh man, I felt so bad about the situation, but then I felt even worse about how I mismanaged that moment that was terribly difficult for the person that was across the table, right? Like it was a bad spot that they were in, and then I made it worse because I didn't handle it well. So that was one of those things that anxiety about that drove me to get better the next time that happened, because I had this resolve of, I am not going to fumble that situation when it comes up again. And I want to be more effective in that moment. That is very difficult for the person that's sitting across from the table that's hearing they don't have a job anymore. I need to be better at that. And so that was one of those things that if I avoided it because I fumbled it so poorly, I wouldn't have gotten better. But it was one of those things that became a driver. And unfortunately, I've had to do that a handful of times. And so now I don't look forward to it. Like that is not a thing that I do, but I'm more comfortable and confident in my ability to calmly deliver the news in that moment and not have to get kicked by my HR partner. And so that's one of those things that just that practice, those laps, that doing again and not running away from the thing, but running towards it, even though it was hard and you messed it up the first time, you got to get another lap at it. You got to do it again. And oftentimes that anxiety or fear is going to help you be more effective when it's round 2 or round 12 or round whatever it is.
Hey, Josh, can I give you a suggestion to go back there and replay? Think about this as a replay. So here it goes. Ready? It's kind of a role play.
Yeah.
I feel the need for speed to get your butt out of here. It's time to kick the tires and light the fires, my friend.
So in case everybody
Metacasters, Top Gun. One of the top 10 lines in the original Top Gun.
So we had
Thank you very much.
We had an argument. Bob threw out it's time to light the fires
and light the fires.
And he's like, that's from Top Gun. I'm like, no, it's not. And so he looked it up, and turns out I was wrong. He was right. So, yeah.
But I just thought that was an appropriate time. Hey, that would get the message across in some way.
Yeah, that would be horrible. Yeah.
Talk about HR kicking you under the table.
Exactly. Kick me all the way out.
I think I'd have a broken leg.
Yeah.
Anything else on this? The anxiety, I'm trying to really noodle on it.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that there's anxiety in everything that we do. And again, the big lesson, the big unlock for me has been similar to what Bob said at the very start, is don't push it away. Recognize it, almost bring it in and say like, hey buddy, why are you here? What are you trying to tell me? What's going on? And trying to understand some of those drivers. And there's drivers where you recognize like, oh, I really do need to run. This is telling me this is an absolute shit show. And like, there's nothing good that's going to come out of it. So your best bet is to run away. Or it might be saying like, hey, you're really nervous. You're really anxious because this is a big moment. This is important. And it's time for you to go capture that thing that you've been chasing, right? You have made it to this point. And so now it's time for you to cross the threshold. And that's scary. That's nervous. You're entering something new. And so there are a whole spectrum of reasons and drivers for anxiety. And the challenge for listeners and viewers is that I hope is that folks can walk away and not treat it as like, oh, that's only a bad thing, because that's how I viewed it growing up most of my
Right.
life.
Right. Can I read something, Josh? I saw it this
Sure.
morning. I'll try to make it fast. This was a post on LinkedIn, and it's a screenshot from the CEO of Open Door. And I'll just read a bit of it, and then I'll make a point. I think there's a point there. Hi team. This is day 11 for me at Open Door. Thank you so much to all of you for leaning in and helping me on board. I know the last few days have not been calm or easy, but this speed and this amount of change is our new standard normal from now on. In the last week, the hardest thing we've had to do as a company is to figure out how we're going to get back into the office. That work is now mostly behind us. There will be no change management here. We are back in the office, and it's mostly the last time you are going to talk about this. Over the next month, the hardest thing we need to do as a company is to become AI native incredibly quickly. Our job at Open Door is to build the best platform possible to make selling, buying, blah, blah, blah. That's the mission, and it matters because homeownership matters. Every week we don't make immense progress against this mission is a bad week for the world. The world is objectively worse and families are worse off. So we need to move faster, always. We can't do that without being AI obsessed. So starting today, the first line in everyone's job expectation is simply this: default to AI. This applies to everyone, including me. I'll stop there. I think that guy should have had anxiety. And anxiety would have been his friend. His anxiety should have said, you have no humility, you jerk. And you're being an ass leader, and you're not connecting to your people. And I understand your heart, but you were wrong. And I bet he had no anxiety over this. Otherwise, the anxiety. So what I'm trying to say is anxiety is not just good or your friend. It can be your, your canary in a coal mine when you're screwing up or when you're too full of yourself. And if you, another way of saying it, Metacasters, is if you don't have anxiety over doing your job, you need to go home, have a stiff drink, and figure out what's wrong with you, because you should be having anxiety, right? This is leadership. It's hard work. So it's not anxiety to stop you. It's anxiety to make you better at what you should be doing. It's a checkpoint. It's a baseline. And this person, I'm guessing, I don't see humility in there, and I don't see empathy in there, and I don't think I see anxiety in there.
Yeah.
Josh, any reactions?
Here's how I read the situation. Day 11. So many times what I've seen is that when there's a new board, so there's been an acquisition or something like that, executives often follow the direction of the board, even though the board often aren't operators and aren't close to what's actually happening. So those sound like board points of, hey, Mr. Mrs. CEO, for you to be successful, we need you to do, AI first, back in the office, blah, 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 whatever it is. And so that reads to me like he's parroting his key objectives, and he was not anxious enough to say, this doesn't feel right. Like, how am I going to read this as an employee? That is when a great leader says, cool, board, gotcha, I'm on it, I will take care of it. And that is a key part of leadership, is learning to manage the conflict with people that are paying your salaries or writing the check or whatever it is, and being able to say, like, cool, understand that, but no, that's not who we are. Yes, we'll get there, but it's going to take us not 11 days. It's going to take us 11 months or 24 months, or maybe never. Maybe that's not who we are. And if that's what you think, then maybe I'm not the right person for that job, and that is one of those things.
You're right on, Josh. He probably gained the board.
Yeah.
He may have connected to his leadership team. I doubt it. He totally alienated every employee and created an unsafe environment.
Yeah.
So where the rubber hits the road, I think he did phenomenal damage probably towards his intentions. And he could have done, again, that's not the point. The point is anxiety. Everyone, if you ever lose it, right, you need to stop and go get it again. Or realize it's not just make it your friend, make the lack of it. Why am I not anxious about this? Why am I getting full of myself? Why do I think I've nailed everything so that I am the perfect leader walking through the valley of the shadow? And just use it as a checkpoint. It's just like, maybe I'll make an analogy. I always struggle to fire someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very experienced at it, but I never ever take lightly the responsibility of letting someone go, ever, over decades. And I never want to take it lightly. It's not something you should take lightly as a leader. So these phenomenal responsibility points.
Yeah. No.
Was that off topic, Josh? I want to make sure
that I think the point that you were working to make, I think we got there, was that that's a moment where anxiety was likely screaming, but that leader chose to shove it in the closet and like put it
and
over
not
there
listen and not
like,
listen
hey,
to it.
I don't need you right now. I need to make the board happy. When in reality, it should have been like, okay, what's going on here? Why is my anxiety
I like that
so high?
Yep.
You know, should have been shaking before hitting the send button.
No.
Right?
Well, and it's that self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
It's that self-awareness. But that's a reframing, Josh. I like that reframing for it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good.
So everyone, now that Josh dropped the ball, I'm feeling incredible anxiety, and I don't like, what do I do to fill the space? Oh, I know what to do. From beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina.
Beautiful downtown Fuquay Varina, North Carolina.
I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake
and bake.
Take care, y'all.
All right.
Oh, then I feel better.